and welcome to this latest edition of the 15 Minutes on Friday. Today I wanted to talk to you about networks and how they can drive value to specifically accounts payable departments, but really your organisation in general. Now, I don't want to spend too much time talking about networks generically. I think we can all appreciate how valuable networks can be, whether it's social networks at home, whether we're talking about telephone networks, internet networks. They provide us with a connection from ourselves to other people. And business networks are the same. And we can often think of it as kind of mobile phones. If we don't have a SIM in our mobile phone, we have no way of connecting out to the outside world. And it's the same with your ERP. The network is really kind of the SIM card if the ERP is your mobile phone. It helps you connect out to suppliers and other trading partners. But how can this really help accounts payable, and what's the point of invoice automation? Now, to illustrate this, what I'd like everyone to do is give me a nice cheesy smile, and I'm just going to take a quick picture to help illustrate this. Now, why am I taking a picture? Well, if we think back to the days when images were not digital, when we'd take either a reel of film or we'd get a Polaroid camera and take a picture, we'd have to wait for those pictures to be developed. We'd have to then see what the quality of those pictures was like. And a lot of the times it will work out fine, but we wouldn't know until it had finished, and we'd have to have that wait. And also there's an opportunity and a possibility that those pictures may not be as we quite intended it. I know from my own experience, I used to take a lot of pictures, take them to be developed, and they come back with that sticker on them that said poor image quality, could not develop. And so then you're left with an image that's useless. You have to try and remember what you took the picture of, and there's a lot of kind of manual effort in there and a lot of actually frustration. And the same thing can happen with, let's say, invoices. So the Polaroid I just took, or the pictures that we're developing, they're almost like paper invoices that are coming into your accounts payable department. You don't know the quality of them until you get them back, until they've been developed. And by then it's often too late, and it's up to your accounts payable department to start reconciling and working out where those invoices came from. Did they have a purchase order that matched? Have they received the goods? All of that frustration in the matching process is down to the fact that they're paper. And even if we scan the pictures that we see here, it doesn't really make it a digital process. We can turn them into kind of images and we can put them onto systems, same way that we could take pictures and we can load them onto a laptop, but it isn't a true kind of digital invoice. Whereas if we compare this to mobile phones that we see today, again, we have the ability to see the picture that we're going to get at the time we're taking it. And we have the ability to make sure that that picture is exactly how we want it to be at the time we take the picture. And also, again, with the network connection, we can share that out, we can send it across. But the really important thing to drive those clean invoices is this visibility that we get up front. If I come into my phone and show you a quick example, what we can do is have a look at this image before we actually start to take it. So let me just drag this across here. Let's come out and let's go to take a picture, not a selfie. But if I have this equivalent here, and let's pretend this is an invoice, I can see that there's certain elements on here I don't want to include, or that the image quality isn't going to be great if I take this picture now and send it in as we see it. But because I have the visibility at the time I'm taking the picture, is if I really want to focus on this waterfall, I can make sure that everything that I find unappealing in this picture is excluded. And then I can make sure that only the correct images and the correct information is sent through when I send this picture, put it on Instagram, put it on LinkedIn, put it on WhatsApp, whatever it might be. But I'm in control of this as the person that's creating that content. It's not up to someone else to edit it once I've sent it to them. And so we want to take this this illustration and put it, let's say, into the context of the invoicing. And we mentioned the SIM. So the SIM is what connects you to your suppliers, and in this case it's me in the middle here. So when I say you, I really do mean everyone that's listening to this, and every organisation can benefit from this network, because it doesn't rely on you having to have, say, guided buying as your front end system. You can have your ERP system connected to the network, whether that be SAP or another. It really helps take those invoices that you create in whichever method you like, and what we'll do is we'll take it and we'll send it across to the supplier. Now, that's the SIM card element of it, right? That's us connecting and talking to other people outside of our ERP system. But what we want to do is get that camera side of things, the look and feel of when we're developing or taking the picture. And this is where the business rules come in. So it will not let me move it back across to you as your accounts payable department until I've done that check, until I know that everything that was on the purchase order that I want to check against is going to be there on the invoice. Things like the price not changing or the quantity not changing. Maybe it's the invoice number or backdating invoices, whatever it is. We're taking those rules, and in the SAP Business Network there's about 120 of them plus. We can check all these different rules and make sure that when this invoice is going to come back in, we've pre-validated it. And what that will do is it'll mean that by the time it goes across, we're more confident that it's going to match first time. And all of the exceptions that have been kind of created or not created, they're caught up front. They're caught during that kind of image taking phase, and not when it gets to your accounts payable department in the reconciliation. So we are really stopping it at source. We're driving a higher first time match rate, and we're improving kind of the lives of accounts payable, because they really then just need to focus on the true exceptions, not, again, going back to the undigital images, the ones that get developed. We're not having to develop all of these pictures. We're picking the ones that we want, we're picking the right ones, and they're the ones that are ended up in accounts payable. They're the ones that get matched first time against the purchase order and the goods receipt, possibly even the contract. And then they're the ones that we want to fully reconcile and get paid. So let's have a look at this in a demo and by looking at the system. So I have logged in as a supplier to the SAP Business Network. And this is what I see from my homepage. And I just want to explain a little bit about it first. So when we talk about this connection, I'm showing you here clean invoices, but from a kind of supplier adoption and for a ease of use on their side, this is one place for them to go to all of their customers and all different processes across the source to pay solution. So discovery is where they can find new sources of opportunity. They can respond to RFPs and questionnaires here. They can reply to contract management activities, or, as we're going to do today, look at the purchase orders they've got and the invoices they need to submit. And we can also notice that they're doing this across multiple different customers. So a true network isn't just a one-to-one connection. That's kind of almost Bluetooth rather than a SIM, where you make pair a device and you can talk to that device individually. What we're doing is connecting many different suppliers to many different customers. Now, in terms of the clean invoices and those business rules that we saw around the photo, taking the photo. As a supplier on the business network, I can see all my new orders. I can come in and I can actually start kind of processing these. So, like I said, regardless of where this purchase order has come from, whether it's guided buying, whether it's your ERP system, it will end up on the network for the supplier to process. And suppliers have multiple different options as to how they make this connection to the network and how they want to process these orders. What I'm going to show you today is a purchase order flip. This can be done though with machine-to-machine connection, so that no one's going in and doing this manually. It can be done via an email trigger. There's many different ways that the supplier can submit these invoices, perform this purchase order flip. I'm just going to show you one of them today, but We have a whole team of people that support the suppliers, get connected in their most preferable way. But here we see, let's say, the digital version of the purchase order with all of the information around the items, where it needs to be shipped to, where we're billing to. This is all my information from the purchase order. Now I have the options to create order confirmations, create advanced shipping notices, and again, through those business rules, I can ensure that a supplier does that if, as a buying organisation, I want to make sure that they're doing it. But for the sake of time today, and to keep me to hopefully 15 minutes, I'm just going to go and create my standard invoice. I'm going to perform, like I said, what we call a PO flip, which takes all of that information on the purchase order and turns it around to create or start creating an invoice. And this is the supplier doing this. So again, from a supplier's point of view, this can be really easy for me, that I just need to put in an invoice ID, and I need to put in a tax amount, and that was all I needed to do, unless, like I have today, gone out of my way to be awkward. Now, I knew that there was an existing invoice number or credit memo with this ID, and therefore this is where the business rules start getting triggered. So it tells me at the point that I'm creating this, again for the photo analogy, at the point that I'm about to click the capture, it's telling me that there's an error, and it's telling me what that error is and how I have to fix it. So this becomes then self-service for suppliers to make sure that they can submit their invoice and have confidence that it's going to be paid and automatically matched, because it's going through all these business rules first. And again, from your accounts payable department perspective, it's capturing these up front. So this hasn't been submitted yet, it hasn't reached accounts payable. This is on the supplier to go ahead and fix this invoice exception. And I'll just refresh the page, and you can see that that exception goes. Now, there are a number of these, as I mentioned, I think over 120 different business rules at the minute that can be applied when creating this. So even things like, if I come down to the line item, which again has been pulled in from the purchase order, if I change the quantity here and try and go to the next, again it's validating that, and it's saying no, you can't do that, that wasn't on the purchase order. Go ahead and make sure it matches and then submit it to us. So it's doing all those checks up front, which means that by the time we come to here and to submit, again, this will then go back across the network to your accounts payable department, again, whichever system they're using. And more importantly as well, from a supplier's perspective, typically their next questions are going to be, did you get my invoice? When am I going to get paid? They can self-service all this information through the network as well. So not only are they making sure they get clean invoices, when I come to my invoices and been able to see them here, I can see which ones have been acknowledged, I can see which ones have been approved, I can see the status of any of them. Here's the one that I just submitted. So I get full transparency into that myself without having to ring accounts payable and ask them those questions. So it really brings that transparency on both sides to what's going on, as well as those clean invoices. Now, coming up to the end of my 15 minutes, but hopefully it gives you an idea of how we can use the network, and more specifically those business rules, to capture clean invoices at source, make sure that they're correct when we are submitting them or when the supplier is submitting them, have them go through that pre-validation, which obviously will increase your first time match rate. So if you have seen anything today that you wish to discuss more, then you can use the comments section in the YouTube, put any comments, any thoughts in there. Also let me know of any topics you'd like to explore further in future sessions. You can also, in here, if you want to speak to any SAP representatives, you can follow this QR code and go to the contact us, and someone will get back to you. You can explore, like I said, just the network capability on its own, or the wider portfolio of solutions that we had a look at in 2 weeks ago. And You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. So if you want to send me a message, discuss any of these themes, find out a bit more information, so use the comments section, use the QR code to my LinkedIn, or if you want to speak to someone at SAP about this technology, then by all means use the contact us. But again, hope this session was useful. Hope you understand a little bit more around how these business rules work from a supplier submitting an invoice perspective, increasing that invoice automation, and I look forward to seeing you in the next session. So thanks everyone, and yeah, have a good weekend.